mind that either. It seems like it should be the other way around, but
I can. I'm done right
yeah.
now. That's actually what I want to do. Yeah.
That's a great book type.
Talking about it. If you can laugh at it.
Yeah.
I like everybody judging everything. I'm laughing at you while I'm judging you. I'm laughing at myself because I'm judging you.
Other people buy it for other people.
James is up in the front.
Me?
Or anybody asking? You can sit wherever you're comfortable, sit wherever you want. Okay.
Is there anything that I can do? I feel like I'm doing absolutely nothing and everybody.
Are you running the meeting?
I guess so, because I'm the convener. So maybe I
Are you
should
comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sitting right there. Do it. Do it.
No. Can we see?
That smells so good. Coffee? Thank you, Todd.
I showered this morning, so. I'm all right. How about you?
Yeah, I'm just working. Is it ever anything?
No, well, maybe I like to use it like that part of the instruction is because.
Can you do me a favor?
Oh, yeah.
Can you like literally go over there or something and just log into the live stream? I sent the link a few minutes ago.
Sure.
And just see,
Okay.
so just click that link and just see whether or not both you can see and hear. Yeah, yeah.
I just transferred the director on and off again. Back to down. Okay, so have you used this before?
I have not.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, you're
Hello,
sending me.
weather,
Okay. It appears that the desktop is connected to HDMI. Because I see the DVI port and a VGA port right there.
We do have a live broadcast.
Right.
Yay.
All right.
Good job, Steve.
I don't know if we have a okay.
Do you need to check audio?
You can. I think it's working okay. Craig checked it too wherever he's at. So audio's working. No. Okay.
Okay, I was no help at all.
You're big help.
I stood here.
It's support, man. It's support.
Well, I'm glad you came over and did it.
Yeah, it's a little. Things can go wrong.
Your technology.
Yes.
Yes, I am. I bet you get this from your parents all the time.
Oh my God.
I can call. Do you want to call to you real quick? Just send something.
We don't have, we're not broadcasting, right? Or
All I want to do is project. Okay.
and you're using.
So I have VGA connected
or
DVI. Okay, that would be fine.
And
it'll connect it to the wall right here. And the desktop, I believe, is connected using HDMI. Or not letting anyone use zero results on your there. Okay. And try turning the clicker on and off again. So I would just right now. Okay. Can I try the display option? So
it on the Mac.
okay. Oh, it's here.
Okay.
And
Someone is coming.
Help us on the way. And when I do HDMI, it should be the same desktop.
Nothing changes, so it's like, it's not.
Something's not.
How many librarians does it take?
So it's behavable.
We need at least 10 more pages.
Yeah, I try every option.
You didn't hear that.
And on the remote, I've tried doing
Input slides and computers and
it's just
I don't think AV is on, so it would be black. Is it a study in your computer that you have to initiate an external?
if it's not working, like, if you change it to HDMI.
It's calling the same.
Right, but it should come right here,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's not even.
I guess.
That's what it like. Right.
And they have
So
Maybe not this one now.
That one?
I'm trying.
Oh,
I tried this. Something's not connecting.
And I tried turning. And see.
Okay.
Connecting to the desktop, which to me tells me something is not right.
I know it is a little tricky with the math.
You're gonna like show up on the side, thinking
Okay, great. Thank you.
Pretty much.
Mitch is gonna be coming up.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I did tell Nancy. Maybe.
What? This is like not mine. Yeah.
All right.
I'll do that. I understand.
No. Yeah, as long as you don't mind. We'll come on the way. Oh, no. Okay. Perfect. Right line.
Okay. Okay.
I know, I'm just gonna start talking to people and I'm totally so anybody that wants to help raise awareness for PTSD, Emily and I are both part of a 22 push-ups a day challenge. We're not actually doing them every day, but we're doing them when we can. So we thought this would be a nice little venue, so we're gonna go in the back and do 22 push-ups while everybody gets things set up. So if anyone wants to join us, please come feel free. And by the way, I'm horrible at push-ups right now. I'm like in the middle of like half push-ups or whatever. Anything goes. Whatever you can do, that's the idea. All right. Yeah.
Get the shower.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to try and use my projection. Hello and welcome to the first Librarians Assembly Business Meeting of the year. Please pardon us while we are getting the overhead projector to work and connect properly. So while we're waiting, a welcome for first-time attendees. I don't know if do we have anyone here from Went? New to the GLS? Perhaps they're online. Yay.
I'll see.
Okay, so shout out to new attendees or new employees. New employees too. Yes, okay, there's somebody pointing. Hello. Welcome. So we are starting a new school year. So we'll introduce our new to their roles, members of the Librarians Assembly Steering Committee. So Beth Harper, would you like to stand up? Beth is the secretary. She'll be taking our minutes today. Julie Ahrensdorf is our treasurer. Thank you. And programs and awards, Steve Fry and Peggy Smith. Steve is also manning the live stream with me. And professional concerns, Todd Mickelson Ambling. I'm going to totally mispronounce your last name. Thank you, Todd. Also, our Cassie reps are Pamela O'Donnell and Todd again. Yay! Pamela O'Donnell also is running our website, and please do check it out for our new upcoming we have new programs. Eat, Talk, Run will be coming up shortly, and then also our other upcoming events and business meetings are all on the web. We are looking for a location for a November meeting. So if anyone on the west side of campus, we're still waiting to see if Steenbach is available. And my name is Katie Sanders. I'm new-ish, and I'm the convener today. So, I know Nancy, you have to get going. So do you want to go ahead? Are we gonna have success soon, or maybe? Do you know the projector? No, do I need to be positioned anywhere?
Right where she was is good. Perfect.
Is this good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can adjust a little bit too.
So I have quite a bit of information for you today. Some will be repetitive, some will be new. I was asked to provide information, and perhaps the all-staff meeting clarified a lot of this, and there's not as many questions. But I know there was questions as to what is the GLS and what is not the GLS. I'd like to say there's a lot of rhyme and reason behind that, and I don't have the whole history, but in a nutshell, the GLS are the units that report to Ed Van Gemmer, the Vice Provost, Associate Vice Provost, and University Librarian. So some of those units, if there is a question, so reporting to Doug would be the special collections, art, music, archives, women's studies, and then the majority of the remainder report to Leslie, which would be college, Steenbach, math, and Deb Hellman, chemistry, physics, geology, memorial, business, social work, social science, geography. And so that is how those are the units that the GLS is responsible for. We have the budget, we have the personnel, our policies and procedures. So even if the building you're situated in has a different policy and procedure, the staff members follow ours. And I know the question came up as to what we support. There's Mitch. With technology and what we don't. So I've asked Mitch to talk a little bit about Tier 1 and Tier 2 support, not only to GLS, but affiliates with the library system.
Sure. So
Camera.
Step right
Gotta
here,
be on
please,
camera.
Mitch.
gotta be on camera.
Take some
Okay. So the way we look at it in terms of GLS, I mean, primarily we have our Tier 1s, which are public machines, and Tier 2s, which are staff machines, run through an LTG-supported administrative network. When we look at non-GLS sites, many of them have the same arrangement with us, public machines, staff machines that we support. Some, however, do have departmental or networks or infrastructure associated with the schools and might have what we consider to be Tier 3 workstations. not at all linked with our infrastructure, supported by their own technical staff. So as we look at some of the professional schools, law, for example, might have machines on their network that they're responsible for, and then some also that we're responsible for. So when we deal with GLS sites, we always know it's all within our purview, so to speak. When we're dealing with the non-GLS sites, it is just something that we have to take into consideration, that there may be things on their own departmental networks for whatever reasons, legacy, or they might have some specific needs that they need to deal with. So that's kind of just the general high-level distinction that we make. We do our best to kind of integrate between the networks as we can. But again, for us, it's just kind of more of a who's responsible for the hardware and what infrastructure it's linking into to get to our network services. I think that's about it. I don't know if there were other things that you were interested in, or
Just if anybody has any questions on that. Okay. Did anybody have any other questions on GLS, non-GLS? Like I said, I know Leslie covered a lot in their all-staff meeting. Okay, then I'm going to get on to the multitude of other things. Some things I brought today are not on the agenda, but I wanted to get them out there so people are aware. Sad news for me, you'll be getting an email very shortly. Karen Lemire is retiring at the end of the year. My heart hurts saying that. So we'll be announcing a search and screen for that very shortly. Please feel free. You'll see in the email, I've threatened for months to duct tape her to her chair. That has not worked. So, if you have other ideas to entice her to stay, please let me know. But that announcement will be coming out shortly. Also, I wanted to follow up on Ed's email regarding the DCF and the bonus. So supervisors will be receiving instructions from me within the next day or so with all of their employees, their past history of receiving a bonus or a DCF. And I regret to say this, but we're going to have kind of a tight timeline and a turnaround. So I know you all have a lot on your plates already, and I'm going to be adding to that, and I apologize. But we're going to ask for the information back from the supervisors. Of course, you need to turn it into your supervisor, and they need to get it to their AUL. So I'd like it in the AUL's hands by October 17th. And like I said, I'll be getting that out today or tomorrow. But just so you know, just to be thinking about it and that there is a tight timeline. If you should receive that information and you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. There was a lot of hand manipulation of these spreadsheets, et cetera, et cetera. So if there is an error or you believe there's an error, just please bring it to my attention and I will look into it as quickly as I can.
Yeah, what is DCF?
Discretionary Compensation Fund. Thank you very much for that question. And this year is slightly different as well. Not only do we have the Discretionary Compensation Fund, which is a base building exercise, and once again, I'm not going to reiterate Ed's email, but he outlined it really well. We also have a pot of money simply for bonus. That's a one-time payment to individuals solely based on performance. It is very clear that it is a performance bonus. So the DCFs we have to have in by the end of the semester, hence the tight turnaround. The bonus information I have to have input into the system by the end of the fiscal year. However, if we're going to put it out there, we might as well put it out there at once. We haven't decided yet as an executive team if we're going to give all the bonus money now or if we'll do some now, some closer to the end of the fiscal year. Those conversations need to happen. But at least we can gather whatever information you have at this point and we can work with that information. So in order to compound your lives and difficulty just a little bit more, when I send out that information, I'm also going to be sending out the capital exercise information to the supervisors. Once again, with a very tight timeline of October 17th. The reason for that is if you don't get your requests in and we don't make decisions, then you can't expend your money by the end of the fiscal year, and then we run into all sorts of issues with that. And so hopefully you've been thinking about it. I know we're always thinking about if I could change or get something. So hopefully it's not too difficult of a process. I am not asking for exact estimates. Ballpark figures will work in this case. But if you could just keep that in mind. And so if you have an idea for your supervisor, please make sure to be passing those along. And once again, to all the supervisors out there, speaking to you too, expect that in the next day or so, both spreadsheets, all the information. And if you have questions, please let me know. The final bit of information that I wanted to touch on today is the new language, or new, I should say, proposed language for the academic staff job security and the distinguished prefix. So what I'm going to do is work with Librarians Assembly. I'm just going to highlight some of the differences, but then I'll ask Librarians Assembly to coordinate the distribution of the new draft document as well as gathering the feedback. And then they'll give it to exec for final edits, and then we'll be putting it into place after that. So a lot of the feedback came back, and truly the changes to both documents are very similar. That there wasn't enough detail, there wasn't enough information, please provide us with more guidance. There will never be a checklist. So if you are looking for a checklist of things to check off and then I qualify, I will never satisfy that for you. Because there is a lot of judgment, there is a lot of decision-making involved. However, the language we use, so right now I'm talking about the job security standard, which in plain English means the indefinite job security standard, is that it's an ongoing level instead of just a high level. It's an ongoing high level throughout their career at GLS, that they should continuously be a high performer, and then some of the new language is their professional growth and development over their career, as well as their impact their work has had on the GLS and the university will be considered. They should help to foster an inclusive environment and build relationships across campus and nationally to promote the general library system. Other areas that will be considered are their ongoing service to their profession and engagement in their profession, staying abreast of trends in their profession, as well as research and scholarly output where available. And then there's directions on the bottom for requesting, since we hadn't been very clear on that. So, and the old documents are still on the web, so you can always compare once you receive the new ones too. And I will provide my highlighted copies to Katie or whomever to make it a little easier for the discussion. So for the promotion, and once again, we're talking about the distinguished level, very, very similar, where we talk about, before you go to all the trouble of getting the documents from the supporting contacts, we want you to submit 1 to 3 pages to your AUL for conversation before you go to all the extra work required to actually submit a distinguished request. But once again, we talk about the other areas we'll be looking at, deal with collegiality with peers, campus partners and colleagues, effort to work at creating an inclusive environment, professional effectiveness, initiative, ability to excel in an ever-changing environment, and scholarship and staying abreast of changes in their profession. These items need to be demonstrated throughout their career, and written documentations should speak to the ongoing engagement and display of the attributes mentioned above. So more clarification language that way. Hopefully that is close to what you were all looking for, but once again, we'll be taking your feedback, and any and all input is very welcome. So any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So why would I want to go for either of these? I
Thank you. Good question. So an indefinite is a job security standard. It's comparable to tenure, if you will, meaning that we have said we can find funding to support your position for as long as you choose to work here. So it's especially in these budget times, it's a very high threshold. I'm saying no matter what happens, I'm going to have the budget to support this. To be honest with you, I've only been here 6.5 years. I am not aware of a case where indefinite ever really came into play for somebody, right? That they did or did not retain a job due to their indefinite, but it's kind of a status thing, if you will. Distinguished, on the other hand, so most of the, as you all know, the academic and the IPC titles go associate, no prefix, senior. This is one step above the senior. It's distinguished, which also comes with a 5 to 10% pay increase as well. So it is not like you move through the series, associate, no prefix, senior, that's expected. Distinguished is not necessarily part of the series. It is an elite final step for a selected few. And we don't have targets. It's not like 10% of all general library staff should be at distinguished. So it's truly reviewed on a case-by-case basis. And so it is something that needs to be considered. It's not just that I've worked for the GLS for 20 years and I got moved to senior 10 years ago and not much has happened since. It is truly an elite level. Yes?
I've been away for a while, so I don't know if it still exists. Is there still like a rolling horizon?
Yes. So there is still, so most people start on a fixed term renewable, and then you can move to a 1 or 2 year rolling horizon. Thank you. That is still very much in play. And those are also outlined in these job security standards. And just to be clear, about twice a year, we put out a call for increased job security and title changes. Usually that goes out in October, November, and somewhere in May, June, because they're usually effective with July 1st and January 1st. Distinguished is reviewed on its own timeline, which doesn't match up with ours, but at least if you submit something by that, we know what the requests are and we can begin working with them. But the actual implementation of distinguished is on a completely different timeline. Other questions?
Sorry, question, clarification on distinguished, because I want to committee. Twice a year, in the fall and the spring.
Yep, and it's like documents have to be in by
August for fall and I'm not sure.
February or something for spring. Yeah, I have it documented, so yeah. Anything else? All right, thank you. I'll email them to you. Yep.
Thank you. All right. And just to note, Nancy mentioned feedback sessions. Todd will be hosting some feedback sessions as part of professional concerns in October. All right, and so next we have up Ian Benton, but okay, you're gonna talk for Ian. All right, thank you.
Hello everyone, Ian had to teach a class this morning, so he wasn't able to make it. So I'm gonna give a brief update on the University Library Committee. It just met last week on September 14th. It was the first meeting of the year, so not a whole lot of news to share, but I can share that the committee is continuing to work on an open access project with the larger university. So they're going to be working on an education and awareness sort of initiative. Leslie Moyo shared updates about what had happened in terms of the consolidation project since last May. And then they also went over some priorities for the year, so I can share those with you. So anticipated priorities for 2016 and 2017 for the ULC are to continue to advise on the implementation plan for library consolidation, specifically assisting with communication to faculty, staff, and students. That's something that all the members of the ULC committee feel very strongly about. They will continue to investigate and communicate the issues associated with open access. So for example, copyright, repositories, OSTP compliance. Third, the ULC will review and advise on financial issues, including collections, budget, advancement and development, and resource management redesign reports. And lastly, they will advise on the campus libraries facilities master plan, SOAR advising, and UW Press. So a variety of things, topics that they'll be discussing and getting information on in the following. Oh, sorry, any questions?
All right, and next up we have Julie again, speaking about the Treasury.
So I have a handout that I have 20 copies, and there are more than 20 of you here, so if you're able to share, that would be fantastic. And we got it to work. Okay, so budget update. This is all in the handout that's coming around to you. So basically, I went through and noted all the transactions that we've had for the last year, and then sort of broke things down. So when we, oh, thanks. When we I started in June of 2015, there were $908.10 in Librarians Assembly checking. And there's been consistently about $58, $59 in savings. We don't really touch what's in savings. Over the course of the year, a total of $806.33 was spent on programming. So eTalk Run, High Tea, etc. So if we look at the breakdown of this, over the course of the last year, we spent $379 on the high tea, which was about what we were expecting. It's pretty consistent with years past. And it was just one big fat check that went to Memorial Union. Each hub runs over the course of the last year costs $286.39. Librarians Assembly business meetings, such as the one that we're having right now. So coffee and treats for these meetings cost $128.28. And then we had a book sharing event in December that was $12.66. So because other committee members wanted graphs, I included some graphs so you can see how these sort of compare. So high tea is our largest expense still. And here's a pie chart because they wanted pie too. Oh dear, it displays like an oval, sorry. Anyway, you can see high tea event consists of most of our budget for the year, followed by the top run events, which have been very popular. We've had a pretty great turnout at those events. And then business meetings, which happen 4 times a year in general, unless we add a meeting in May. So looking ahead and just using averages, I give a projected budget for next year. So assuming that things cost about as much as they do from last year, we can expect to spend about $816. As of June, we had $1,256.77 in our checking account. So we should be just fine for the coming year to cover programming. And even if we do add an extra Librarians Assembly business meeting in May, we should have plenty to cover it. Any questions? Yes.
Are there dues?
Are there dues? We certainly hope that you will consider paying your dues at the high tea event, or whatever we choose to call it, in April. So most people choose to pay their dues or give donations at that event. Does that answer your question?
For you, $100.
It's a suggested donation or suggested dues. I believe it's 15. I think that's what we decided. Tax deductible. Tax deductible. Any other questions? Oh, and for those who are not academic staff that want to attend these events, if you'd like to give a donation for the high tea event, because we opened that up to all staff, university staff and academic staff, we just ask that they consider a donation. They also attend our programming. Any other questions? Thank you, Julie. All right, next up we have Library Ambassadors update from Kelly Hughes.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Hughes from College Library. Before I talk about the Library Ambassadors, I also want to mention that we are still accepting applications for ISIP interns. We've extended the deadline to Wednesday, October 5th. So if you have students who you think would be a good fit for the program, please do encourage them to apply. So, any questions about that before I switch? You can find it all on the So the Library Ambassador Program, we just started last year. And what it is it's a group of undergraduate and graduate students from across campus, we hope, who want to represent the libraries both formally at events such as the Steenbach Ice Cream Social, the Helen C. House Party, the Employee Benefits Fair even, and informally in their classrooms and their res halls. We give them a little bit more training so that if someone had a question about the libraries, they could maybe provide some assistance, but really they're more there as an advocate for the library and to encourage their classmates and other peers to use the libraries as a resource. So we have that role, and we do give them some swag so that they can self-identify as library ambassadors. They have hats, warm winter hats, and water bottles, and buttons. And then they also regularly meet with the Library Ambassador Steering Committee on about a monthly basis to give us feedback about how we're doing on our resources and services and spaces. So examples of what they did last year, they gave us some feedback on the LCPs, the library course pages. They gave us some feedback on college library spaces. And they gave us a lot of feedback on the program because it was the inaugural year and we were still trying to figure out how it was going to work. So our first meeting this year is going to be October 11th. So that's going to really be a like welcome back. We want to change the web presence so that the library ambassadors images appear on the website and along with like what departments they might represent. But we might have some time if there was something that you wanted to get feedback on that was relatively short and wouldn't take the whole time. Let me know and we can get you on the schedule if you just wanted to ask them something that you thought would be relatively short. Otherwise, we will get a schedule for the rest of the year together following this first meeting once we figure out when most of them are available to meet a common meeting time. So think about us if there's something you have coming up where you feel like getting feedback from undergraduates and or graduate students would be useful to a project you have on the horizon. Consider us as a resource and we will get you on our schedule. You can send any questions about the library ambassadors to me. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, and then next up we have Steve talking about programming announcements.
All right, so a couple things. E-Talk Run, well, first of all, the programming committee, it's myself, Peggy Smith, and Craig Cook. He kind of roped back in. He thought he was leaving, but it kind of, just when he thought he was away, we pulled him back in. So it's us, it's the three of us. And E-Talk Run, we had our inaugural year last year, and it was really well attended. And I'll go through some of the topics that were covered, but basically, E-Talk Run, it's an hour long, and we try to cover 3 topics. And we try to divide it so that one topic is cool things we do as librarians. One topic is cool things we do as people, so hobbies, that kind of thing. And the other part is things that help us have time to be cool. So tips for using Office 365, DIY, standing desks, those kinds of things, productivity, things like that. So we try to have one of 3 topic. That doesn't always work. We try to do that for each session. Each part of E-Talk Run is usually 15 minutes long or so, 15, 16, 17 minutes long, where the presentation itself is maybe 7, 8, 10 minutes, and then we have time for questions and answers. Then we have maybe a couple minutes in between before the next person goes. And you're welcome to come to the entire E-Talk Run, or you can just come once the schedule's announced. You can just come because you're just interested in the second topic, and you just come for the second topic. You're free to come and go as you please. Hence the name E-Talk Run. All right, so this semester, the first E-Talk Run will be Friday, September 30th. We're also trying something else different this year. Last year, all the E-Talk Runs were in the morning. We got feedback saying it doesn't work for everybody, so we're trying to switch it up a little bit. So this semester, the first one, September 30th, Friday from noon to 1. The second one will be October 21st from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., so it's the morning one. And November's will be November 18th from noon to 1 again. And then we're not going to have one in December because we're going to have a book sharing program that month. So that'll be the program for December. That's coming back. People love that. And that'll be December 16th from 12 to 1. And all of those happen here in Memorial Commons. Let's see. So some of the past topics included things like pre-cycling, the zero waste movement, squeeze box basics, African commemorative fabric project, UW travel policies, library wiki use for staff, status of U.S. government documents in campus libraries, baby wearing, DIY standing desks, sift and winnow, new trends in board game design, therapeutic coloring, oral history program here at the UW, who is Dr. Marvin Sukhov, growing dahlias, Office 365 tips, winter biking, digitizing Shakespeare, and 3D printing. So you get a sense of it's all over the place, and hopefully you find something interesting in some of those topics. Some possible future topics that might happen this semester: running a bed and breakfast, metalsmithing, Rag Ride, which is the Register's annual Great Bicycle Ride across Iowa, National Guard Service, Behind the Curtain of Go Big Read, and print management within our libraries. So there's still a number of spaces. There's even a number of spaces, at least 2 for next Friday. So if you're interested in participating, if you have something that you're doing as a librarian or something you're doing as a hobby or something that helps you be productive, more productive, if you could share those with me and we'll get you into the schedule. Okay? The last thing I want to mention in terms of programming is we are beginning to think, although not very heavily yet, about the high tea. We don't know if we're going to call it the high tea. Maybe it'll be the Librarians Assembly Awards event. We're not sure what we're going to call it. What we do know is the feedback we got from last year was very, very positive about how the last year has been. When we had 25 award categories, all of you, or a number of you, voted for folks or nominated folks in those categories. And we got a lot of good feedback. We also got some really excellent constructive criticism for how we might tweak things a little bit here, a little bit there to make it even better. We're going to, we're taking all that in and we'll certainly be tweaking some things and hopefully improving that event in the spring. We think at this point the tentative date will probably be the last Thursday of April, which is April 27th from 3 to 5. The location is still to be determined, and that date and time is still somewhat tentative. Okay, any questions about the program? All right, thanks.
Next up, we have academic staff assembly reps, Ellen and Tom, or maybe just Ellen. No, Tom. Oh, sorry. Welcome, Tom.
Hello, I'm Ellen Jacks. I represent Memorial Library, and
I represent a number of different libraries, so I'm District 475 and you are
476.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of split up the notes for the academic staff assembly presented in the Librarians Assembly from now on. And so Ellen and I will do today, and in the future we might kind of switch off from meeting to meeting. So.
So the latest academic staff assembly meeting was held on September 12th, and it was the first meeting of the year. So kind of like with University Library Committee, there's a lot of sort of general updates. First thing is we had a memorial resolution for Art Hovey, who passed away in December 2014. We will send out our notes, and there'll be a link to the actual memorial resolution. So if you want to read more about him. One thing that pertains to libraries, he was an active member of Friends of the Libraries. Then we approved our minutes from May 9th. And again, we linked to the approved minutes here. And then we had a series of guest speakers and committee updates. So the first guest speaker was Elizabeth Foskey. She's the president of the Madison Academic Staff Network. It was formerly known as the Madison Academic Staff Association, or MASA, as some people refer to it. They've changed it to network instead of association. And so we've got a link to their website. They have a couple events coming up. Primary one is there's a fall breakfast that will be held at the University Club. So there'll be some quiche and yummy pastries. That is September 28th. It's a Wednesday morning from either 7:30 or 8 till 9 a.m. So that's free for members to attend. You can join at the door or join on their website. It's $10 to join. It's for the full year. So we've attached the information again to these notes that we'll send out post this meeting. The next guest speaker was Kathy Kilgore. She represents ASPRO, which stands for Academic Staff Professional Representation Organization. In other words, she's our lobbyist. So she lobbies on behalf of all academic staff in the UW system. So she also held a little reception prior to the meeting, so if anybody had any direct questions for her, people had a chance to address those, talk to her a little bit, and then she takes that to legislators on our behalf. So like I said, it's a statewide lobbying organization, and it is a professional organization that is separate from the university. So you pay separate dues if you're a member, and she's encouraging everyone to join. We've linked to their website here. And in the past, they've really advocated for academic staff on issues like budget cuts, pay plans, salary decoupling, and benefits. So she also talked about what she's anticipating coming up this year. The next budget is going to be coming out soon. So she's bracing herself for advocacy plans. So it's going to come up for discussion in February. Specifically, she highlighted the importance of a statewide outreach plans regarding the budget and asking residents to invest in the UW system. So they're putting together some advocacy plans for that to help help people to contact their legislators on behalf of investing in the UW system. And then she's also meeting with the Board of Regents pretty soon here to lay out some, again, statewide advocacy plans for academic staff. So she's being very positive and proactive. So that's very nice to hear. And then we started some other committee reports. So ASEC, the Academic Staff Executive Committee, right, not council, committee. Never can remember what the C stands for, right? So that was given by Kevin Meany, who is the new president of ASEC, or chair. He highlighted a couple events. So anybody else who's involved in shared governance, there's a reception October 11th from 3 to 5 at Varsity Hall in Union South. And then he provided a few highlights from the report from their activities from May through September. So they still meet every 2 weeks. Anybody is welcome to attend their meetings. And so a few highlights from the report include there's a new shared governance budget committee, and this is a campus-wide budget committee, and there are 2 academic staff members on that budget committee, so we do have a voice. They helped put an RFP, a request for proposal, out for consultant to do a new titling and compensation study committee. So they helped to kind of write the charge and put that call out. And the last titling and compensation study was completed in 1986. So we are well due for kind of, I mean, this is what some of what Nancy was referring to with are you associate? Don't have a prefix? So do these titles still make sense for academic staff here in 2016, many years later, right? So they're working on putting that together. They did some work on FLSA, that's the federal leave. I forgot to write. Okay. Yes, thank you. Yeah. I'm thinking about family leave, joining committee there. So federal standard labor. Fair labor standards. Thank you. Fair labor standards. Okay, so there's been kind of the new update of that. And so they are the ones that compose the communication that went out to all academic staff. And then they also wrote the charge for an ad hoc committee on taking a look at Category B salary compression. So academic staff tend to fall into 2 kind of salary categories, Category A or Category B. They've been working on Category A as well. Category A is when there's a maximum limit as to how much you can move up in terms of salary. Category B is unlimited. So they're putting together an ad hoc committee to kind of look at salary compression issues.
All right, thanks, Ellen. So it was a very full agenda, so we still have several things to go through here. The next guest speaker was Steve Smith, Secretary of the Faculty. He was talking about changes to the academic calendar. There was actually an ad hoc committee on the academic calendar because apparently things had gotten very complicated. During the fall of 2015, the Faculty Senate had met to discuss some changes they wanted made to the way the academic calendar worked. Some of those changes were implemented. Those changes caused other problems. So this committee was formed with a very long list of people. There were about 20 people that were on the committee. And the recommendations of the committee were, they wanted to adjust the faculty contract, begin and end 1 week earlier, and shift the 4-week summer session to 1 week later. Some of these things may or may not have effect on us, but I'm just going to go through the whole list here. They want to shorten the semester to 69 days of instruction and activity over 15 weeks specifically. Shorten the summary period, so that means finals, by 1 day and explore possible other further adjustments. Shorten the grade submission period to 72 hours. Clarify Wisconsin statute S.36.1116 to limit applications to undergraduates. request that some or all sections of UWS document-based CPS4 be abolished. Now, some of those things are not clear, but there is, so we don't see it on here, but if you go to in the wiki for the Librarians Assembly, we're posting all of the notes, and we have the documents listed there, and this is a very long report they put together. So if you're interested in how the calendar could change for campus, take a look at the report, and you'll see more details there than you ever wanted to know. Now, those are just recommendations. Who knows what will happen. All right, so the next guest, let's see, there was actually a vote. ASEC lost a member to the committee. A new person was joining, Mallory Musolf, I hope I pronounced that correctly. She was nominated and elected to ASEC. Then there was a resolution calling UW System President and Board of Regents to action. This was ASA resolution number 615. Okay, so what's the deal with this? So everyone's familiar with the vote of no confidence that occurred during the spring semester. The Academic Staff Assembly did not necessarily want to go that far, but instead they came up with an Academic Staff Assembly resolution calling the UW System President and Board of Regents to action. Again, there are a very long list of points here, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. There is sort of like an end thing here that it says, be it further resolved that the Academic Staff Assembly of UW-Madison call on System President Ray Cross, the Board of Regents, and the state legislature to recommit to the Wisconsin idea, respect and advance shared governance in the UW system, and work with us to preserve the quality of our university to improve access, affordability, and educational resources for students, et cetera. It goes on from there. But if you're interested, again, that is linked off of the wiki page, and you can see the entire resolution. Next, let me go back to my notes here. There was a report on 2015-2016 Academic Staff Assembly business. That is a list essentially of all of the resolutions that were passed in the previous year, and I have a copy of it here someplace. Yep, here it is. I'm not going to read through all of these resolutions. It's a very long list, and again, the document is linked off the wiki. The one that they did mention that they thought was an issue that would come up again this year. Last year, the Academic Staff Assembly passed a resolution regarding legislative restrictions on fetal tissue research. So those of you that work in science libraries, it seems like this issue will come up again, and it seems like the Academic Staff Assembly, or at least ASEC, was saying that they will probably address that issue again in the future. So that's something to think about if you have an interest in that issue. And then the last thing that I got here, the other side, there was a report, and this was very interesting, from Warren Heller. He's the new Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration. He's brand new to campus. He's essentially taking up, I think, from where Gerald Bizzell left off. So Warren gave a report, and or really not necessarily a report, but talked about himself and his interests and some of his plans. So he's new to campus. He came to UW-Madison from UC Berkeley. He formerly worked for Harvard University, so he has a very long and prestigious career. UW-Madison, so he presenting some of his points, UW-Madison needs to work on revenue growth. It's very good that Madison's expense growth has been low, but that's been primarily due to campus-wide budget cuts. Such cuts impede campus initiatives. So the good news, though, is that UW-Madison has a very low debt in comparison to our sister institutions. We do have some valuable assets, and we have WARF, which, if you're familiar with WARF, WARF is definitely an asset to our campus and is a place that can raise money for campus. He'll be looking at making recommendations and implementing a variety of changes across campus to accentuate revenue growth and emphasize the campus academic mission. So I would look for more information and interesting things coming from Warren Heller in the next year or two. So he definitely seems like someone with a lot of ideas and a lot of experience in terms of budget management. So there you go. Any questions about the Academic Staff Assembly?
And we'll send out a link to the current meeting notes.
Right.
This is a lot.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then last up, we have invited Karen pretending to come and give an update on the CTS Resource Management Redesign Report. You may have seen emails about it. Hopefully you've read it.
and she will tell us more.
No, I guess I can. Okay. So yeah, so first up, for those who aren't familiar with what resource management redesign means, this is a project that was kind of kicked off by Lee Conrad, our sponsor. And it basically encompasses resource management activities, which are basically cataloging acquisitions, preservation, and kind of the digital production reformatting side of productions. We wanted to give it a sort of different name, resource management, because we want to kind of we want to look at it from kind of an entirely new perspective and think about kind of the interrelationships and how we can collaborate with each other better. The last time CTS was reorganized was in 1999, and a lot of things have changed since then, not least including Alma, which changes kind of the way we need to do things. So we figured it was a really good time to think about how we could work together better, and including all these areas. So the resource management redesign, there's a task force, and I'll point out the members really quickly. Jesse Henderson, Kat Fan, kind of give us the perspective from digital collections, Lita Berkberg, and David Dodd at the acquisition side of things, and then Laura Martin and I kind of come at it from the cataloging and resources side. We meet monthly with an advisory group, which includes the supervisors, the managers, and also Steve Meyer, David Lee, and Vicki Coulter, so we have kind of different perspectives there as well. So we really got kicked off in November 2015. We spent the last, from that point till July, gathering information, because we wanted this to be more about just how can we do the same things more efficiently. We really wanted to think about what is it we should be doing and how should we be working together. I gave the image of when we did a kickoff of like a garden. I feel like we're a garden that has kind of gotten overgrown in certain areas. Certain things have done really well, certain things have been neglected. But we need to think about all the things that impact the garden, including how much sun there is, how much whether it's fire, whether somebody built, So I think we need to look at what opportunities there are, as well as what things maybe got overgrown, need to be trimmed back. What things could we be doing in addition? What things flourish better in this new environment that we're in? So for information gathering, we proceeded through 10 different questions, kind of starting very high level, looking at, what is our environment like now? What's the higher education environment like? What's scholarly publishing like? How is business, how have business models changed? And then we looked at interrelationships, what our peers are doing, and then right down to the nitty-gritty of what it is exactly that we do, so that we have kind of a basis of knowing what we need to account for when we start thinking about things. So that's all encompassed in a report that we sent out last July, I think, early July, right before we were visited by consultants. We did a 2-day visit. They read our report. They did their own series of interviews. They wrote a report. So if you go to our site, there's a resource management redesign wiki. And both all of the information shared, all the information gathering we did is posted under the information gathering link. Our report is on a link, and the consultant's report is on the link. And the next stage for the project is now that we have all this information, we have tons of good information. And we appreciate all the information we've gotten, all the feedback we've gotten through the various activities that we've done. Now we have to kind of figure out how to consolidate, how to create like an org plan out of that, and in addition to that, kind of a communications plan. Any org plan is going to be insufficient in itself in terms of how people communicate with each other, so we need to look hand in hand with how we're organized and how we need to communicate with each other. Any questions about that? What kind of ask?
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I think that is all, unless anybody has anything else to raise. Party. Make sure you grab some snacks on the way out.
No, you might want to mention Sue's retirement party.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. Sue will be retiring, and she is having a party. She will be having a party next Tuesday at the University Club, right over here, from 4 to 7.
From 4 to 6, and while you're here, there is a book that you can sign in admin.
Yes.
So
Yes. Ask Connie for that. So, all right, if there's nothing else, please join us at our next meeting, November 16th. We're hoping to have it on the west side of campus. If that doesn't work out, we'll probably be back here. I think that's it. Thank you.
If you're looking for more stuff, I've got a talk I've been working on, but I won't have time to actually flesh out until after November 3rd, but on professional community building. So I'd be happy to get that in, or a short version of that at October.
Yeah, so that's November. So more like
Most likely, just because I've got another conference just coming up in October, and I'm planning a conference for November 3rd. So until that's over, I don't want to have like
Thanks. Yes, let me end this real quick. Then I'm almost done. Yep, I'm going to end it.
You gotta say goodbye.
Try to say goodbye. I said bye.